everybody, I hope you're doing well. Today we are pulling in a special one, some more on-content stuff, like we did back with the M series, our Dawn Trail Raid series, in the light heavyweight category. Loading into Jeuno the First Walk. Now I will be honest with you, I did not play Final Fantasy XI. I have a couple of friends I know who did, but for some reason I never actually got into it. Never had one of those cool PlayStation 2 ports that allowed you to do the MMO thing with it. Real ones will know back in the day. But yeah, it's just something that passed me by, and I saw a lot of people getting very excited about it, and that made me excited about it, and I am pretty interested in getting you guys in here and looking at it. Honestly, my first impressions with this were really good. We're going to run up here with a little bit of trash pack stuff, and then we're going to get straight into our first boss. That's one thing I really like about this. It does not wait around as far as getting you into the mix. We're going to deal with our first boss here after we finish off these goblin replica dudes, pathfinders. They're pretty cool design. I like them. They're a little bit funky. They kind of got those smooth edges and arcs. You can take a lot of damage from these guys, so be careful. See, I got smacked there. Thank you, healers. One of the reasons, which you will certainly see later on, about why I like this is the difficulty is actually fairly spiked compared to what I'm used to in Final Fantasy XIV. And I think I mentioned that before in the Dawn Trail Raid series, which if you haven't seen those, there's a playlist, go check those out. But yeah, for a normal, this is pretty freaking rough stuff. And you're going to see a lot of people go down. I might go down. I can't remember if I go down in this recording. But here we have Prish of the Distant Chains. Look at that voice line. It's so fun. She's such a fun character. You're going to see this character a little bit through the raid stories so far. I think she's pretty cool. Very fun character. Now, this is our first real mechanic, Knuckle Sandwich. You can see up there, she will say wait for it and wind up her fist. The number of times she does that will be the number of rings on the inside, and then it will hit outside of those rings. You can see there, she did 3 times, so it went out to the purple, and then it struck outside of the purple as a second hit. This time will be 2. Wait for it. Bam! Inside, and then the outside to follow. So be aware of that. Then we have tank stacks. So be careful if you are a tank. Look for those. If you are not a tank, get out. You will just explode and die. And it won't be very good. We're going to have Banish Storm. Trying to keep rolling. So here's our next thing. These indicators are just going to send out circle AoEs from the center like that. It's very easy to get caught up in those without realizing it. And we'll immediately have a circle AoE centered on players. So be aware. Heal and mitt through that as you need to. Thank you, Fred. We're doing pretty good. Now, Crystalline Thorns. This is really fun and can trip you up. The arena will change. There'll be thorns there that'll spike you pretty good. And like before, she's gonna wind up and say wait for it. And how many times she does it will be how far you are launched. So she said it twice there, and as you can see, I got launched to the second indicator. That second arc. So be careful of that. This is definitely going to train you to listen and to look on your screen to see what she's doing, because I've certainly been knocked straight off. Here's our next mechanic. These are just going to be AoEs that go out in accordance to which ones are glowing big. It can go in to out, like you see here, and it can also go outside to inside. I believe we'll see that a little bit later on, while Prish is talking some smack. Alright, I see you. We're going to do the uppercut thing again. uppercut. And while I've not seen much of the first wait for it on the uppercut, it can happen. I have seen it. And so you gotta be careful, because it's not just going to be the second and third that you can bank on. I've definitely been caught by that. You'll take some damage, get some bleeding from those thorns. You don't want that. That'll just stack up and cause some damage. As you can see, we've got a lot of people and a lot of the alliances going down. Astro and Fist isn't that crazy. That is a stack up, which we've seen before. Just get everybody on there that you can, and Chris will just go to town. Just bam, bam, bam. Man, it's so cool. This is definitely, in my opinion, the most straightforward fight of this raid, which makes sense. It's the first fight. For that to be the simplest, I think it's pretty bog standard. But I mean, look at all the outgoing damage. You've got a lot of people moving through them. Now we've got the AoEs on the little bubbles and the knuckle sandwich as well. So you've got stacking mechanics. The fight is teaching you stuff as we go. See, people got caught, and now we've got to figure out, because the AoEs are moving inside to outside, which they don't do a ton of damage, as you can see there, but it will still be something. And things are coming out fast. If you remember from the Dawn Raid series, which I referenced a little bit earlier, I was a big fan of this. I quite like normal content that is harder, but not as hard as like a Savage or a really difficult Extreme. Certainly not Ultimate. I am, at best, mid-core. I've done a couple Extremes, you know, and that's kind of where I am. But I also think that having this cooler, harder content than normal, something that is hard enough to challenge a group that's just thrown together, but also not so hard that you're going to be suffering the whole way through, is really cool. I'm a big fan of it.
You can't stop the flood of mortal existence.
Dropkick is coming up again. Tank stack. Just rotating through. Another stack up. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. This is where you gotta kind of play the game a little bit, because sometimes I won't lie to you, if we're having a rough time and it looks like we can't all survive, I might just stand outside of it. You know, sometimes that's the call. I would not make that lightly. Banishka is going to come out. That's raid wide. If you're a Reaper like me, you'll have a similar type of feel to the Reaper mitigation, the shield, that can all of a sudden give a bunch of healing. That's a good time to use it. It's not a ton of damage, but it can set you up with a little bit of healing, and it give you a little bit more health. Going into other stuff like this. Just gonna go ahead and zoom out here, zoom back in, because I want that uptime. If you are a melee DPS, you are going to love this fight. You can get a lot of uptime on this, even though you are moving and grooving a lot. It's very, very fun. And Banish Storm coming out. Big props to the healers on this run too. As you can see, we've had a lot of people go down, a lot of people taking a lot of damage, and they're doing a great job. They're definitely continuing the trend of being freaking awesome in this expansion. I'm very appreciative for them. I've actually started playing healer a bit lately. I have a level 49 Astro that I've been playing, and I will definitely report back on that. I'll probably show that at some point in some of the raids. Nothing like this. I am certainly not good enough for that. Just don't have the experience or the developed skill to do something like this on a healer. It's certainly not at this level, but it is fun. I'm having fun with it, and I would like to show that off a little bit. Another time perhaps. Another raid wad coming out. Heal and knit through as you need to. Gonna have some more of these bubbles. You're gonna see these a lot. This plus knuckle sandwich, and this plus the uppercut. That is what usually gets me if I get got in this fight. Absolutely. It's easy to get lost in the song. There's a lot of stuff going on, especially like for me. I play with party effects off or minimal. I think it is actually not off, and it's still a lot of stuff on screen. If you're a madman who can play with everything on, that's awesome. I would probably have a seizure, man. It is no joke. We're gonna go ahead and zoom in through some teleportation to the next zone. It's a cool forest. This feels very, very classic MMO right here. We're gonna have another trash pull before the boss, actually a couple. Now I will say, if you remember at the front of the video, I took a whopping amount of damage in very short succession from the goblin replicas. The same can happen here. It's a little bit more telegraphed. We might burn these down too fast. But if you don't burn these guys down too fast, or your tanks do a big wall-to-wall pull, and they get a bit stacked up, they can start to throw out some AoEs. That will be pretty rough to deal with if you get caught in them. Guys casting some stuff. That's another thing too. We're going to get to it a little bit later, not in this next boss fight, but the third. There's going to be a lot of interrupts. And in general, with these trash pulls, one a little bit later, like, interrupts are good. Keep that stuff on your hotbar or put it back on if you haven't been using it as a tank or a DPS. It's going to be your best friend. And there's some stuff that's pretty much required later on for it. So just be aware of that. I do like that a lot too. I think that's something that should be used more in 14. I've pretty much, what would it be? Late Heavensward, early Stormblood. I've definitely been someone who's been a little bit more vocal, just talking to people about the game, about wanting debuffs and stuns and interrupts being able to be used on bosses. I think that's really cool and gives a lot of room for skill expression. Fafnir does not care about this though. His first big attack is offensive posture with the tail raised. Pay attention when there's an offensive posture cast, what he's doing. The tail is a huge hit behind him. Now when he's up here and making ready to land, it's going to be a big AoE around him. I'm going to get caught, and you'll see that you get stunned a bit for a second. You can't do anything, it's not very fun. And sometimes that will come out right before the tail slam that we saw a little bit earlier. Now when he's got the fire that he's going to do right here, pay attention to where he starts and pre-position yourself close to where it starts. Because that fire will go away in a circle the same way he sends it out. Because he will do this, and he's going to land, like we saw a moment ago. Which will stun. I'm going to get punished here. Yep. Oh, I'm going to die here. Maybe. Maybe. Defensive posture's up. Oh! Now that's embarrassing. Now there's the painfully average experience right there. This is what you are here for, ladies and gentlemen. I have given up my DPS rights, and I am going to change permanently to a floor tank. Well, maybe not permanently, but for a little bit. We're scary after all. And I mean, there's these walls here that do damage. Somebody's got to tank them. Somebody's got to bear that, and I suppose it is mine to bear. My team will surely thank me for it. Now, you see these darters come up, and they will be essentially trash spawns. Definitely something that can be an annoyance. Keep them off of your healers, please and thank you. Speaking of please and thank you my healer friend for picking me back up. This is a fight that, for me personally, gives me trouble. I will not lie or mince words to you guys. I suck at this fight. But that's fine. It's still really, really fun. Now, this phase of the fight is interesting. You'll see that there are tornado circles running around, and then you will also have these AoEs coming in bands, either from the outside, like that, or from the inside. And they will give you a bull nut, so be careful. You don't want to pick those up. And we're going to have those circle AoEs coming out. I'm going to get tossed here. And those do a lot of damage. Check this out. Bam! Dead. That's crazy, man. That's a lot of damage. So I'm going to 4-tank again, as that is my other role. I'm an off-tank, actually. Now be careful with these, with that phase that we just saw, because I want to make this very clear. Those bands that go, that give the vuln up, can go from the outside in and the inside out. Now the stack up here has got a lot of damage in it. You really need everybody here, at least 2 full alliances, for it not to be super, super scary. So just be careful about that. It can catch you unaware. So if you are, especially if you're a healer, and you're getting a little bit worried about it, especially if you're close to LB2 or LB3, you might want to stand outside. So these casts, these winged terrors, look at where the big scary purple light and effects are. They're either going to be on his wings or on his face. And if it's going to be his face, he's going to do some Dragon Breath stuff like that. You see there. Yep, shoots it out. And the wings, of course, like we saw with the first bit, goes along the sides of the arena in 2-line AoEs. 2 big rows straight across. We've got a bunch of these ads coming out. Nothing too crazy, nothing we can't handle. Now, red circles. Red circles are scary. Do not stand in red circles. Red circles mean you die. I don't think I get hit by one. I got hit by one. Yep. So that gives you a little bit of trouble. And, oh yeah, I'm just eating everything here. But the big deal with that, in my opinion, is not the tail right here, but the vulnerability up. Because, at least from how I look at it, how I play Final Fantasy and what I've experienced, it is more damage coming out than we're typically used to. Be careful of getting those vulnerability ups. It's not the end of the world if you get 1 or 2, but just be aware of it. It is something that we do not want to get on our character, on us, because, man, it hurts. Yeah, Hurricane Wing come out again. We're at about a 3rd health here on him. A good old Fafnir the Forgotten. Now, if I remember right, because I watched a video a little bit ago, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this was kind of a world boss that had a chance to spawn in 11. I think it was that, or maybe it's a different dragon I'm thinking of, but one of them, there was a chance, and 2 other dragons had to be spawned at the same time. Like, there was some crazy stuff going on. Like, the drop rates for some of the gear was ridiculous. If you played Final Fantasy 11 back in the day, please let me know. And, I don't know, maybe I'll give that a shot. I don't know if I've recorded it, just because I don't know the game whatsoever, but maybe try to hop on an old legacy server that someone still has running. I actually know a guy who I believe plays 11 still every now and then with a couple people on an old server they've got running up. Maybe I'll ask that guy. But for now, I will enjoy 11 through 14. Got another one of these big old stack ups, line stack ups. We're just going to deal through that. See, like the spread of damage with both all 3 alliances. There we go. All 3 alliances up. It is not that bad. But if you got an alliance down, man, or the equivalent of alliance down, which if you don't remember, that is about 8 people. Right? That can get real scary real quick. Let's see, even just there. You can't see it. I'll have it covered on my screen. But we had about half our health across the board on my alliance there, which as a very new baby healer would absolutely make me very scared and concerned about everything that's going on. But we got it. Just gonna finish him off here. There we go. We got the cool Jaja, the Mighty and the Mystic. We're just gonna get yoinked here. Teleportation again.
So where are we now?
Now this area is really cool to me. The Ruan Gardens. This is very, very peak Final Fantasy to me. Got this floating area, overgrown, some ancient civilization. Man, it just makes you want to know what went on here. Who was here? Why they did it? There's automatons up ahead. So they were obviously advanced, but they had this ancient seeming architecture. It's amazing. We got these guys. These guys do a fair few AoEs as well. Although there's going to be one that does an actual interest in a bit. Now, if you'll see on the screen here, if you'll spawn it, there is a guy that does a don't look at me mechanic. So just be aware of that and aware of your positioning. Because I am historically pretty bad at dodging those. Even in Hawk Manor, to this day, I've caught some of those before. Not my proudest moments, but it makes it a little bit more interesting nonetheless. Up we go again. There's the area of stairs. Thank you, Bakul Jaja. Very cool. Got some flamingos. Throw them up in our yard. Now, this big guy up ahead, you see as we're running towards, if I don't get AoE'd here. This guy will do a interesting little deal where he will do a pull-in, very big pull-in AoE. So use your mitigation and run away, because he's going to pull you in, and then he's going to smack around him. And it's a very, very quick, and then he'll smack outside of that ring that he hits initially. Do some AoE damage. Then he'll start to cast a move called Panzerfaust. See if we see it right there. And you can interrupt that. I've seen a tank just get absolutely annihilated by that before, so do your best to interrupt, even if you're not a tank. Just be mindful of it. Be mindful. That's all I'm saying. We're going to get on a cool telepad here. Then we're going to quickly move into our next boss fight. Our third boss fight of this. And this is a cool fight. I wish we got more fights like this. And I hope we get more fights like this later on. This is a 5-person gang fight. This is very, very cool. This is going to be interesting. Thank you, Bakul Shasha. And you will get marked with a certain Archangel. You'll get tethered to it. That is the only one that you can damage at first. So we're going to go ahead and go over to this one. There's going to be these tank busters that come out. Be careful. Be very, very careful, because they are AoEs. If you're not careful and the tank isn't paying attention or move quick enough, you can absolutely get smacked by this. And I don't know for every class, but I certainly, as a Reaper, will get deleted. You're going to have some lookaways, and you'll see there's going to be ice on the floor in a lattice pattern. Get out of the way of that. Then we're going to have this Sakura Petal AoE, and then those cones coming out, and then you have to get into the Sakura Petal circle to dodge the damage. That's a lot, I know. And then we have Archangel casting Meteor, and we need to stop that. But we're not going to worry about that because we're not in time. Havoc Spiral is going to be very similar to M3, if you remember that. While there won't be a circle AoE around it, there will be these cones coming out that move in a clockwise or anti-clockwise, counterclockwise, excuse me, pattern, and then a push out. Whew, that was a lot, wasn't it? Now we're going to have some AoEs. Just get roughly into alliance size parties for that. If you see one is a little bit less, go ahead and get in there and help them out. As you can tell, there's a lot going on. And don't expect to go into this fight knowing what's going on, even if you've seen a video about this. And there are plenty of people who do much better stuff. If the floor goes dark blue like this, get to where it is not, because that is going to do a ton of damage to you. But don't worry about it. It took me probably 3 or 4 times to start to understand, and then another couple to start to actually dodge what's going on. Don't be intimidated by it, just enjoy the process. Now, every now and then we'll get these other phases where there will be 2 or 3 Archangels out here, and they will start to do their own unique mechanics. You see those pools of damage on the ground, and then you'll see that there are tethers to certain players with a running man icon. If you get those, you need to run away from the ad that spawns, because it will chase you and it will mess your day up if it catches you. So get away from it. Keep running. Have that big plus sign or cross, depending on how you're looking at it. AoE that comes out. That's not too big of a deal. Just get out of its slice, and you'll be good. Now, this is important. When this happens, attack the one with the shield, our shield. You need to burn that down very quickly, and then you need to interrupt. I'll say that again. You need to interrupt the cast of the Archangel HM over there. Burn this guy down. He drops the shield, then we come over to HM. I'm being mad. But, you need people to go over to HM and use your interrupt buttons, your stuns, your low blows, etc. to interrupt the cast, because that is going to mess your day up. Then we're going to have a throwback to M1. This is just Black Cat. It's going to run around and line AoEs in a big old circle. Honestly, that one's a relief, because I know we got through that check with the shield and the cast. I know I can at least have a second to go. All right, let's see what we're working with here. On these sections, by the way, that have this big dark blue pizza shape that you have to go into the safe pizza slice of, when they're all grouped up like that, that's a good time to work on getting out your AoE damage rotation, or if you're a Reaper like myself and have a high damage rotation for a multi-target, that can be a pretty good option. Or at the very least, as a Reaper, you can reapply your Death Design, the AoE version, pretty well. Ooh, we're going to be cutting it close here. We're going to get that Sakura circle and get out the line AoE. Yeah, you can see, man, there's a lot of people on the ground, but I don't talk bad about them at all, because I've been there. You'll be there. And this is a tough fight, man. This is a lot of stuff going on. Gonna get some stack up action here. Pop the raid wide. Here's a question of the day for you guys. If you are more used to raids, obviously I am far from stellar at it, although I enjoy them, and I think I've definitely gotten a lot better at them. I have a very hard time keeping track of when I should use my raid wides. I usually just kind of selfishly use them when I need to, and when I have resources to use them, or when I'm kind of guesstimating when is a good time. Just kind of playing it by ear. Is there a way that you guys use to time it that is fairly simple and easy to understand? Let me know. Let me know in the comments, because I would really actually like to hear that opinion and your methods in doing that, because that is something that I would like to tighten up on a little bit. So when we get into these, I can help everybody out, get a little bit more damage out, make these fights easier. Raid wide damage here. This is so cool. I've been a fan of gank fights for a very, very long time. That goes back to Dark Souls, actually. Dark Souls 1 in particular. If you know, you know. And if you don't, go look up Ornstein and Smo. Or better yet, go play Dark Souls 1 yourself and fight Ornstein and Smo yourself. You will feel my pain. but also it's very fun, very interesting way of doing things. Now we've got the AoE puddles, but we don't have the running men. We've got the cones coming out that twist. And then we have the push again. So be mindful of that. Don't want to go into the wall like I did earlier and become a floor tank. Sudden class change, not really what we want. Leave that to the professionals like myself. You know, this is a very intense class to play the floor tank, so leave it to us professionals. This is a fairly long fight too. It is a fight that lets you know very early on that it will not tolerate you slipping, and then it turns into almost an endurance fight, which I think very interesting, very different than what we usually get in Final Fantasy 14. We get a Dominion Slash, which isn't going to go through because we're just going to kill. Whew! Alright. Well, I hope you guys had an evening time with that. Well, maybe not easy, but a satisfying time. Now, we are going to say goodbye to our good buddy, the cool Jeuno, as we get sucked in Telly style into the throne room. And while I will not have the cutscene play here, watch it. It's freaking cool. Again, I haven't played 11, so I don't know who Shadow Lord is or what his deal is, but pretty baller. It is absolutely baller. We've got some C's in this raid here, so I'm actually going to leave this in and give us a moment to just kind of chill out, you know, kind of take a minute, you know. How you doing? Come here often? How about them meds? And all that good stuff. Whew. I think playing this is exhausting. You should try recording over it. There's a lot of stuff going on. I hope you've been with me so far. Now, Shadow Lord, we're going to talk about this fight here, is pretty interesting. He's got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of overlapping mechanics that we're going to have to watch out for that they telegraph, but they don't telegraph everything when it's happening. You'll have to remember some stuff, but we'll get to that as we go through it. There'll be a really cool boss arena change that you'll have to deal with. There's some push-pull mechanics that you can't just use your mitigation through. It's really, really interesting. I was very, very pleased with this fight. I hope you will be too. There we go. We got the pull going.
I cannot die.
This man cannot die.
Not until I have eradicated you and your kind from this
So,
world.
Giga Slash is going to be our first big one. You'll be able to see those big sword swipes that go through the air, and that will telegraph which sides that he is going to be cleaving, and it goes around the entire length of that big shape that he's going to be cutting out and showing the pizza slice it's safe. Umbra Smash is what gets me. The safest thing here is to not get overwhelmed. Pick one or two of those orange AoE markers, and the moment it resolves, go into it, because that will give you some vulnerability stacks, if I remember correctly, and you'll go instantly into another Giga Slash. Now I'm going to go ahead and give you the heads up on this. Giga Slashes are only 2 hits this time. Later on in the fight, we are going to have 3 slashes that we're going to have to deal with. And I'll warn you with that now because I did not realize that early on, and I got caught several times. Still get caught. Now Implosion, our next mechanic, is going to be pretty simple. It's going to be a circular AoE around him, and then a half room. All you have to do is watch which of the glowing, scary Cthulhu orbs in his hand glows brighter. And here we have our boss room change. As you can see, we're going to have those markers come up, and it'll give you the text prompt, but if you're confused, those little sharp spike-looking things, those indicate where the damage is going to come from. 1, 2. So like there, they pointed in, so things hit inside those circles. continue on. Dark Nebula, that is going to be our introduction to the push-pull mechanic. And you can see we just get shoved in a direction. You gotta be careful of those, because those are huge raid-wide pushes, essentially. Got another implosion there. Watch out for the half room. It's going to be a little bit harder to maneuver. And there we can see we've got two different things. So we've got the boxes pointing in, and then the circles pointing out. So be careful of that. Don't get caught in any damage if you can, but definitely not double damage. Then we've got to play ring around the Rosie for a stack up. Which I'm not going to hit the first. No, yeah, I think I hit the second one. Second one and on. So this is something I will tell you as well. I think you could probably see there with some of that. I was having a little bit of connection issues, some ping issues. Don't go into that knowing this could be an issue for you on this fight in particular. Don't let it get you upset. Don't let it get you off guard either. Because especially with the push-pulls in another phase that we're going to get to later, that can sling you off into a corner of the map. And just as a connection issue thing, I have tried it elsewhere, and it's definitely a thing on my end, my internet, and its connection. So, just be patient with that, if that is something that you fall prey to, and plan accordingly, pre-position all that. Terra Slash, not too scary. Get your damage out, keep your rotation up. Just use it as a free damage. Now here, I mentioned we have our 3-attack Giga Slash. That is this. This is the Giga Slash Nightfall. So positioning 1, looking for the 2nd, and then the 3rd. And what I like to do is I like to position for the 1st and face my camera to the 2nd, to where I don't have to think about where I'm going for the 2nd, and then I'll identify where the 3rd safe spot is and run to that, if that makes sense. Now Shadow Spawn will give 2 clones. He will slash, so we'll position for that. And then we're going to have the other 2 doing mechanics as well. There, 1, 2, and then we're going to have to look for the next one, because one of them will do another Giga Slash. And if all else fails, you just turn into a lemming train and follow your buddies. Now here's the next bit, Implosion. He will do that, so be aware of that. And then the other clone that did not slash will do the Implosion as well. So we'll have a couple of different half rooms coming out, essentially. Right into a tank buster. So, healer friends, make sure your tanks are healthy for this if you can, because we're going to have all of that into a tank buster, into player-focused or player-centered AoEs, and then a stack up. A lot of stuff going on. You see the bodies on the floor. It just is how it is, you know. I've definitely seen a lot of healers pull out the healer LB3 to save some pulls, and that sometimes will clutch it out, but you've got to be careful. You've got to be careful. And you can see it's pretty deep into the fight here where we're getting perilously low. Yep, my whole alliance is down. Let's see. We still have a couple of healers up in C. See if they can pull off a miracle. Got tank up now and a DPS. Nah. Nope. That's gonna be a. I think this is gonna end up with a wipe.
Coming back until the fires of wrath consume me.
And I'm leaving this in, guys, because this is a part of the game too. You know, and I think it's important to not freak out when there's wipes. And as you guys have known, I'm no stranger to leaving in my own deaths. And I think that's an essential and important part of the game, that it is not too easy. You know, know, there's content in the game where you aren't going to waltz into and just absolutely kill at first go. I think it's more engaging, and I also think that it is it's important to recognize that it can be fun as well. I'm going to go ahead and grab here, because this is a pretty dead pull. That's completely fine. We're going to run over to our teleporter. I think that person's just running back. Yeah, brave soul. But yeah, so something like this happens, it's all good, you know? And that was just one of those things where, you know, a few of us took a little bit more damage. You know, we didn't use our mitigation right, we didn't use our damage right, we positioned a little bit wrong. We've got new people in there as well. And that's completely 100% fine. See, recently we did the Crystal Tower series, and you saw how easily those went. I think it would be very underwhelming and very, quite frankly, disappointing if it was that easy to get through stuff that is, you know, on content. I know I'm putting up this video fairly late after this has been put up, but I mean, still, I mean, I have no qualms about saying that this is still going to be a fight and a raid in general that will kill you if you are not paying attention, you know? Or if you don't know. Oh, wall death. You know, and I think that is a very, very cool thing. Because I don't want normals to be savage or extreme, you know? But I do want it to be hard enough that it's challenging. You know what I mean? Speaking of challenging, it may be out at the time I release this, I'm not sure. I think it will, actually. The Chaos Raid, Chaotic Alliance Raid, I believe it's called, with, I believe it's going to be Cloud of Darkness. You will definitely get a video on that, probably way after it releases, but I am looking forward to that. As you know, if you have watched the channel before, I'm a big fan of the Cloud of Darkness. I have the Puff of Darkness minion, and I love her. She is my beloved. So we're definitely going to be doing that. So we're going to get back into this. We're going to do our second pull. Got our Umbra Slash again. We're going to do the same thing as before. Going to keep running around. Whenever we see those AoE markers disappear and the mechanic resolve, we're just going to run on top of it. Try and get out of the way as quickly as possible. Take as little damage as possible.
I will tear your flesh and crush your bones.
Oh yeah, you can see here. Even though some people are still getting clipped, that's fine. And even this early on, you can definitely see that some of the people who haven't seen this before are already starting to learn. And that is the thing, man. I have infinite time for people that are trying to learn fights that don't know them. And it is my genuine hope and desire that people, when they see me, recognize that I'm genuinely trying to learn and have patience. And that has generally been how it's been. It's been very uplifting, in my opinion, to see people not be uppity or sarcastic and snide in these raids, and actually show a lot of enthusiasm about the difficulty level. I've had a lot of people in raid, just to speak anecdotally, I've seen a lot of people, I myself have talked to these people in game, who have been very excited about the level of difficulty on display in Jeuno and the raid series of light heavyweight. In the spirit of leaving things in, I'm going to leave that in too. But you get what I mean. This expansion has been absolutely fantastic as far as fight design goes and normal content. You know, I can't speak to the extremes or any kind of savage content or the ultimate that came out recently as of time of recording. That's all well and done by the time you'll be seeing this, but I can't speak to anything like that. But at least on the normal, on the painfully average side, it's been very uplifting to me to see, and I've been very engaged and very intrigued about where they're going to go with the game as far as this level of mechanical intensity and damage output, just making things a lot more interesting. Let's see here. We are still throwing some hands. He's gonna use the Terra Slash. Quite a nice amount of direct hit and critical hit stuff. Saw a couple like 70, 80,000 point hits going out through there. Long and Travis. I will not sniff at that. That said, I know Pictos get some crazy damage. I've got Picto unlocked, but I haven't played with it too much because other than Red Mage, I'm not huge into the Mage deal. I do like Red Mage. Picto's fun. I just gotta figure it out. You know what I mean? Like I'm not quite sure how to put it all together to make it make sense. But that'll be later. I'm on my healer kit right now. Although I'll always be a Reaper at heart. There we go. You can see me pre-positioning for that Nightfall Giga Slash. You can see me position my camera to just run straight forward. So bam, bam. Then already know where the safe spot is, or where it would be. Run there. Then we'll run into the second clone, or the next clone rather. He's gonna do his. Bam, bam. Then we're gonna look at his left hand in the middle. And it's going to be on the right hand for this one. So I'm just going to use some movement to get over there and keep my damage up going, my uptime. Then like before, we've got the Tank Busters. Then we're going to have the AoEs, centered on players. Don't kill somebody, like I was flirting with there. Then we got the stack up. You can already see that we've got a lot more people up now. A whole lot better. This is a friendly reminder too for those of us who floor tank every now and then and you get rezzed. You do have a few seconds of being completely invulnerable so long as you do nothing but regular running around. If you use any kind of movement ability, any attack, any self-healing, if you press any of your buttons other than the left joystick or your WASD, depending on if you are a keyboard and mouse or controller, you are going to break that. So use that to your advantage. I'm going to come up here to these towers. I didn't mention it before because we wiped, but those sigils that come down on the floor, those will put you in a knock-up type state, and you will take a lot of damage when he does this big people's elbow 3 times. So try not to get into those. It can be a little tricky because they will pop up and then go away before they hit. And we're going to go back to the squared circle here, practicing some sweet science. And here we will have the mechanic I mentioned earlier that you can't tech through with your mitigation. It will push you around the arena. So 1, you'll get 2, you'll get 3, and you will get 4. And if you position yourself right, or ideally I should say, rather than right, you'll land in the same square, or the circle rather, as Shadow Lord, because he will do the Giga Slash Nightfall, which is pretty brutal. As you can see, this is taking its pound of flesh, absolutely. See that the sigils are out. You got to get into this back hallway area this time. Then we'll have the AoEs, which is very mean, I will say. And I should have stopped there. That is definitely my fault. I accidentally killed the 2 of us. I should have stopped and ran to the outside of that circle. My dear friend, the healer, is going to raise me. Very, very thankful for those cats. Sometimes literal cats. You know how those Makote players are. Tricky buggers, but typically pretty good. I'm going to go through our Umbral Slash again. Lots of AoEs. Don't get too upset about it. Don't run away like I did there. That is a good way to get yourself killed. Run towards where it's disappearing from rather than trying to run outside of it. I'm going to catch hands here, but that's alright. This is still pretty good. Our healers have LB3, and we're going to come up.
Your demise shall foretell the extinction of Altana's vile progeny.
You can see there I was had some brain lag going on. Don't worry about it. Doom Mark is going to be some raid wide. Mitigate through that if you can, or pop your heals. One thing I will say, you can definitely tell that I was getting a little bit overwhelmed towards the end of this and just trying to focus, especially on those Giga Slashes. But I would definitely, if I was critiquing myself, I would say I would need to use True North more, just to kind of up that damage output. I would make more use of my Second Wind heal, a little bit smarter use of my Reaper Shield. The name eludes me at the moment. But using that, if I'm pretty sure I'll get clipped using that so I can generate some healing across my alliance, across my party, provide a little bit of utility even though I'm being punished. Keeping that test design up a little bit better, I think, would be smart as well. In this phase, it can be a little bit difficult, just because you got to run around a little bit. But it's definitely something that I could use some work on. I've definitely been, my main focus so far has just been uptime in general, and keeping that downtime of where a button is not being pressed and not on cooldown is as low as possible. Got some AoEs coming out again, getting out of the way. Whew. Talk about a knockdown dragout. Got about less than a quarter, about 20-ish% or so. Burning down quick. That's one thing I love dots for fights like this that are so long. That if you can keep your dots up, my healer bros, my range bros, if you can keep your dots up, that is going to do a world of good in fights like this. Seriously, that is humongous damage that you're going to get out over time for the boss. See, I got caught by the sigils there a second ago, so that will cause damage strikes. So we're all going to go in the air, and we are all going to get the people's elbow. Bam. Bam. And me. Ouch. Get knocked back into those towers. Didn't die there, fortunately. But definitely spooky. Go ahead and pop my Enshroud. Only goes through Chthonic Fury. Dark Nebula. And get those pushes again. Get all four. This is definitely a fight that, to me, feels like it runs fairly long. Although, granted, this is a two-pole fight for us on this run. But, it does not feel as long as the Archangels to me. He's got a lot of health for sure, and is very tanky, but I think that's because, even though he does do a lot of stuff, it's not 5 different enemies that I'm trying to look out for and watch. So I think that that reduces a little bit of the fatigue from the fight, which is nice. Ooh, a couple people got shotgunned, so that's alright. Still got plenty of people up. I do not have an AoE this time. Now I'm just going to stay where I'm safe, try to get out of the way. That is something I would recommend as well. If you're in a position where you're not with the AoE, either stand still or get out of the way. You know, don't kind of hem and haw back and forth. Don't cause a seesaw type deal. Be confident in your movement, is what I'm trying to say. Do one more Umbra Slash. We might kill before it completely resolves, actually. That'd be kind of cool. Go down this side. This side. And there we go. Boom. Bingo. There you have it, guys. That is a long video, definitely longer than I had intended, but I think very important to give it in its entire context and the fullness of this run, because while some people kind of approach a failed pull, especially on a raid like this that's fairly long, as a failure, I think it is an opportunity to have more fun. You know, I think it is a great place for the game to be in, because I don't want to go in, like I mentioned before, where I expect to win. You know, even though we have these cool level 100 characters with cool gear and crazy damage numbers, I still think it's very cool that the game can challenge us. And I think it's very cool that the game can challenge us in ways that are not just the enemy hits like a truck. You know, even at a normal difficulty level, you know. Having more mechanics, having them be more interesting without being, you know, excessive, I think is awesome. So I hope you enjoyed the raid. If you haven't done it, seriously, go do it. It'll be fun. And I really, really hope I see you in the raid one day. Till next time, guys. Peace.